Hey, welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us. I have Katherine George Best with me tonight. Say hi, George.
Hi everyone.
Hey. So, George, why George? Can you tell us why you have got your name, George?
Okay, so George is not my real name. My real name is Katherine.
Right.
When I was in school, I used to play for the girls' football team, and the teacher that ran it was my history teacher, and he just randomly called me George one day in a lesson, and all my friends were like, "Haha, George," and would do it as a joke, and it just stuck, and now we're
Now
here.
you're here and you're just called George. Yeah.
Yep, still George.
Still George. So, are you George known everywhere, kind of as George?
Not everywhere. So with swim, because I had to be official and use my real name on documents, so then everyone saw my name as Katherine. It's like, oh, just call me Kat though.
Right.
Like, it's fine. But then there was a couple of people that did kind of know me before, and they were like, I thought you were called George. I'm like, yeah, no, but I'm actually Katherine. Confuses everyone.
Great, that's cool. That's cool. Well, it's a great pleasure to have you with us on LCC Excite interview. So, so what is your story? So, how did you get your faith? Why did you decide to follow Jesus?
Oh, that's right. So when I was about
Right,
16, my friends invited me to their youth group that they were going
right,
to. So I started going to that. Um, and then they got baptized in Lock and Castle Church. I think they were the first ones to do it there because the water was still cold. They hadn't worked out how to heat it up. Um, so I went along to that. And I think a couple of weeks later they had a confirmation service, so I went to that. And then it was actually their mum, Adele Lloyd. I think
all
some
right,
of you know
yes,
her.
yeah,
Was like, you can come every week, you know. Like it's not just special occasions you can come. So I was like, okay. So I started going every Sunday. And then the following summer, our youth group were going to New
right,
Wine for a
yeah,
week. So we went there. First night we got there. So like I've been going to church like about a year, I think, from like September to August. It was about that. Got to the first night of New Wine, and then I completely zoned out from what the guy was saying. Not a word went in my head, and then all I heard was "stand up and close your eyes." I was like, "Oh no! Like, is this everyone or is this certain people? I don't know what's going on." And then I felt my friend
right,
move, so I was like, "Oh, it's everyone stand up at this point. It's one of those things." So I stood up and closed my eyes, and then everyone started clapping. So then I opened my eyes, and then my friend still sat on the floor. I'm like, "I thought you stood up," and I'm like, "No one else has stood up." And then like I looked around, there was 12 of us in like hundreds of teenagers stood up. I'm like, "What have I done?" and then and then I got taken to the side, and we all got like a little baggie,
right,
had like a cross necklace and some bits of paper and stuff in it. I'm like, "Thanks." Went back to my youth group. The evening finished, and then Adam
yeah.
Wilson, he ran me outside to our youth leaders and was like, "Guess what she just did?" I'm like, "Oh, I don't know." And then he was like, "She became a Christian. She gave her life to Jesus." I'm like, "Oh, all right, okay." I did that. And then 2 or 3 days after that was the Wednesday, which is like the day off at New
Right,
Wine. And we went out on a mission trip. So we went into street and we're giving out bottles of water to people and just asking if anyone wanted any prayer. And then so I went with two girls that were younger than me, just with like a crate of water bottles, giving them out. Most people were like, "Oh yeah, world peace," or like that kind of stuff. And then there was a lady at a bus stop who said like, "Would you like any prayer?" And she's like, "Yeah, my son, he's a recovering alcoholic, and I'd like you to pray for him because he's like falling back into bad habits." And I was like, "Okay." There's me, like 16-year-old with two like 14-year-olds. Like, okay, we'll pray for you. And then I just kind of like bowed my head. And then one of the girls said something, and then there was a bit of an awkward silence. And then she kicked me. I was like, "What?" She's like, "You need to say something." I'm like, "Okay." And then that was my first prayer out loud to this random stranger. So yeah, it was a great week.
wow.
Yeah. So accidental Christian I am.
Accidental Christian. But well,
Yeah.
you are still obviously following and all that kind of stuff. So
Yeah, yeah,
obviously it became didn't wasn't just accidental. It became something real. So how did it become real then
yeah.
for you?
so kind of like we came back from New Wine, and like I didn't really tell my family what had happened because they're not Christians, and like it's always like a bit of a tension, like God and not God stuff. But I carried on going to youth group, carried on going to church as much as I could, and like just reading the Bible a lot more. And my youth ladies gave me a Bible that week. Just like I've got it here, so like, it's still there. So if you see it, yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah, I can see it. Yeah, yeah.
Yep, you still have it. Still writing it. I've got notes all over it.
Wow.
So yeah. So doing that, and then there was 2 challenges I had in the next couple of years. That one was from my cousin. She was saying, "Are you going to church because you want to go see your friends, or are you going because you believe?" And all that kind of stuff. I'm like, oh. Okay. And then obviously it was because I believe. It's not just to go see my friends. So that was like a signpost saying like, this is me. And then the second one, it was a work night out, so we're in town, everyone was drinking, and someone at work just turned to me and said, "You're not a Christian." I was like, "Yes, I am. Of course I am." She's like, "No, you're not a Christian." And then I remember I just kind of looked in the mirror because we were in the bathroom, and I was like, "What does make me a Christian? Like, just going to church isn't making me a Christian. Like, just doing that thing isn't making me a Christian." So I think those are 2 kind of points where I was like, no, this is for real. Like, I've made this decision to follow Jesus. Like, I need to own it now. Like, it's not just go to church and do the things. It's like, no, I need to believe it inside as well. So yeah, then I got baptized and kind of made that as like, no, this is my life. I'm a follower of Jesus now. This is it. So yeah, kind of went on from there.
Okay, yeah. So how long ago was that? So how old are you? Can I ask? Can I ask a lady how old she is?
You can ask. I'm 30. Would you believe it? Yeah.
So
this was when I was 18. I got baptized.
Was that
12 years
ago? Locking Castle as well?
Yep, it was at Locking Castle. They'd worked out how to make it warm. So.
That's always a good thing.
Yeah.
Ah, great. And so, what are you kind of doing now then? So how has your faith kind of molded you to what you're doing now? So what are you doing now, kind of thing? So tell us a little bit more.
So a few years ago, Tom and Mims came to Locking Castle, and then Caroline took over the youth work, and then I volunteered to help with that as well. And so I think 3 years I was just volunteering with the youth work and working at Frankie Benny's as well. And then I hit a point where I wanted to be more involved with the youth work, so I spoke to my boss and said, "Can I cut my hours or the days that I work so I can do more stuff at church?" And he was like, "Yeah, that's fine." And then a couple of years passed, and then the word swim kept coming into my head for a good 3 months. I was like, "Do I want to go for a swim? Like, I don't really know what this is saying." And then I think I did go for a swim at Hutton Moor, but then it was still coming up swim in my head. I'm like, I don't know what this means. And then I heard about Southwest Youth Ministries, which is swim. I'm like, oh, swim. So with them, they do a Be Transformed year where you can do a year out, you have a placement church, and you just kind of get teaching and training about doing youth work and Christian youth work and just kind of different stuff about that, how to grow yourself personally with God. And I was like, okay, I'll do this and I'll commit to a year, do this, get a bit more training. Because I was hitting the point where I was doing youth work, but I felt like I didn't know enough. Mm-hmm. So if the kid came to me with a God question, I'm like, well, I don't know how I'd answer that. I don't know what the answer is. Or so that kind of feeling. So I'm like, I feel like I need to go get some training, come back, and then I'm just, not that I wanted to be smarter or more intelligent, but I'm just there's just some stuff I didn't know about. And just revelation, people always avoid it because not many people talk about it. And if I had a young person come after me, I'm like, I don't know how I'd answer. I've never read it myself, so that's why I decided to do training. So I left Locking Castle to move to Highworth, which is where I am now, as my placement church. And then about a few months into that year, it came up saying, "Do you want to do the degree with us?" So you can do a BA honours in applied theology, which is what I'm currently doing now. So I decided to stay in Highworth in my placement, and I'm now in my last year. This is my 3rd year of the degree. I've almost finished the degree. Like, I never thought I'd go to uni because, like, I hate writing essays. Like, they're just boring.
I hate them. Yeah.
Yep. Yep. But I'm, 3rd year, nearly finished.
Okay. So what kind of experiences at Highworth have you had then? So what's it been like doing youth work and studying at the same time?
So the kind of first thing I noticed was that every youth group, every town is different. So every young person at like Locken Castle, the way we did youth there was not going to work here because they're just different young people. Like, every young person is different, and that's, to do youth work, you need to work out who you have and what will work for them. So, and so I was kind of coming into youth work that was already happening. So you just spend time getting to know the kids and what their interests are, and just seeing how God can move with that. I think one of the things, it took about 2 years for me to start it up, was to start a youth band within the church. So I'm not musical, I don't play instruments, don't expect me to come back and play one. But there was a few young people in the church that were really good at it, like they're on grade whatever, and they weren't happy with the worship that was happening at church. And it's like, God just kind of put it on me, like, why don't you change it? Like, if they're moaning about it but not doing anything about it, why don't you just try it? I put a youth band together, they were up for it. So kind of just before lockdown, they're actually on the rota to do it once a month. So in like 2 years, they'd progressed to being able to play, and that's been a great learning curve.
Brilliant.
Getting people to do music when I don't know how to do it myself. Just trusting God that it was the right thing to do.
So how did you know that God wanted you to do youth work? What made it? Did he just kind of come up to you and go, okay then, George, I want you to do youth work, kind of thing? How did you know what the Lord was calling you into?
I suppose I didn't at first. So I used to be a guide leader as well. So I've kind of, since I was 14, been helping with young people. And then I was guide leader for 7 or 8 years, and then volunteering at the youth work. But I never thought that was the goal. I always thought it was a hobby on the side. So I actually went to college to do animal management, because I thought I was going to work in a zoo or the vets or something. I thought that was the goal, or like the career that I was going to have. And then, I think it was just being at Locken Castle, like, just before I started swim, it was kind of like, I think that point when I asked my boss to kind of cut my hours because I want to do more youth work, I think that's when it started clicking in my head that this is it, this is what God is calling me to do. And like, I had so much passion to do youth work that why does it have to be a hobby? Why does it have to be a side thing? Why can't it be your main thing? And then so it just kind of went from there, and then that's when swim popped up, and I'm like, okay, this is the path I'm going on. So just kind of prayed about it and trusted God about it, and spoke to some friends about it, being like, is this what I do? Like, where am I going? And just so that just helped to, this is what I'm doing now.
Okay. So what is the future for you? So what are the plans for the future? Now you're coming to the end of your placement as well, and so what is next for you?
What's next? So I actually finish in my placement at the end of July, and that's my degree done. I'm then moving back to Weston, back to the mayor, which I'm excited about, and into Hayward Village to be their new youth pastor or youth worker. I can't remember what the title is. So I'm going to be the youth worker in Hayward Village.
So what's that going to entail then?
So I think initially it's going to start with some like detached work, so just kind of walking around. Well, it was going to be walking around and meeting some young people, just kind of getting to know the area, what's about, what do they want, and starting up a youth group of some kind and what that would look like. Obviously, because the lockdown, that's kind of changed a bit. So I'm talking with Fiona at the moment, kind of what would youth work look like now? Then, if for when I come in July, what will it look like? And just kind of, would it work online? Like, do we know enough kids to kind of get it online? And yeah, just kind of praying about what it would look like. And yeah, we're just gonna chat through, see what it does look like.
All right, so it's exciting stuff then. What the possibilities?
Yeah.
Possibilities going forward. So, what's it been like being in lockdown for you? How's that affected your faith and the way you do things? So, yeah, what's it been like in lockdown for you?
I think that week just before lockdown was announced, I really struggled with, because it seemed like every day something changed. So I'd kind of like make plans and then wake up the next day like, no, you can't do that anymore. Like, oh, okay, right, maybe we'll do this instead, or I can do this. And it's like, no, you can't do that anymore. I'm like, I can't, like, I don't know what to do. And then I think I had a cry about it and just pray to God, like, I don't know how to handle this. I don't know what I'm doing. And there was just so many questions in that time. Like, I was supposed to be going to a friend's engagement party up north, and it's like, well, am I going to be able to travel? Like, I don't know. I was supposed to be going to Bournemouth for a lecture week, and it's like, was that going to happen now? Because we had a group presentation to do as well as one of our assignments. It's like, well, if we can't go to our lecture week, how are we going to do it? And then we suddenly had to learn, like, I never heard of Microsoft Teams before, and then suddenly had to do a presentation on it. I'm like, what? So yeah, just kind of having a breakdown with God, being like, I don't know what to do with all this kind of stuff, and just kind of like, I put a worship playlist on and just had an evening of like, I don't know what I'm doing, I'm just going to give it to you, and just had some time with God. And then I've got a little sketchbook that I kind of doodle stuff and just what's going on, and like, God gives me pictures sometimes, so I was just kind of thinking and praying and just drew a couple of pictures about it, and just kind of, then it calmed down a bit, and then like questions were answered. I'm like, okay, thank you God, like, I know what's going on now, we can kind of move on, and right, this is the plan, right, good.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
So what kind of advice would you give a young person who's trying to find their faith and trying to work out, like yourself, am I just going to church or for my friends or that kind of thing, or have I really got my own faith? What kind of advice would you give a young person who may be asking those kind of questions?
I think I'd say, like, actually ask yourself that question and be like, are you going for your friends? So kind of, if your friends like all left, like if they all went off and moved away, say, would you still go to church? Like, is it them that are taking you there, or are you going to have time with God? And just, so I think just question why you're doing it, and just, if you moved like somewhere new, would you find a church? And if you wouldn't, then I'd say you're probably just going because your friends are there. But if you would want to, then just keep pushing into that and kind of keep reading your Bible or find a Bible and just kind of keep pressing into that.
Great, thank you. That's brilliant. So I think I've just kind of run out of questions, really, kind of. So, so my mind's just gone blank there. So, sorry about that. So, has anyone who is watching got any kind of questions, what they want to ask? You can write in the little kind of comments if there is anything you would like to ask George. She's open to any kind of questions. Deep theological questions on Revelation, obviously, is a real one. Yeah. So, what's your favourite passage of the Bible or verse? What is your go-to kind of verse?
Ooh. So I kind of have two.
Okay.
First one is Proverbs 3, 5 and 6.
Okay.
Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. Oh no, what's the next bit? Something like follow him and he'll give you the right path or something.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
That's always been one. And then the Isaiah 40, 31.
Okay.
Or 28 to 31. Do you not know? Have you not heard? The God is the everlasting God. so it's that passage. I heard it in a song, and then that was my first like, oh no, people write songs about the Bible, and it was that kind of connection. Like, oh no, like it all links. You're not just singing songs; like they actually mean something.
Right. So that was
So,
a real
that's always stuck
that was
with
a
me.
moment for you.
Yeah.
Right. So have you written
Like when
have you written your
pretty
have
songs.
you written your own songs at all? Being inspired by that?
I'm not a songwriter. I'm not
You
a
can
songwriter.
put lyrics together. Get someone else to do the kind of melody and stuff like that.
True. I'm more of a drawer though,
Okay.
so I'd rather like draw stuff.
Okay, that's cool.
So rather than write stuff down, I'm more of just a doodler, draw something, and that's how I connect with God. So
Okay, all right. Well, I'm gonna ask you 10 questions. Okay, so you ready for this? All right.
Okay.
So,
ready.
what is your favourite word?
Pyromaniac.
Is that because you're... No, I won't ask if you're a paramaniac. So what is...
And the answer, yes, I do love fire.
So what is your least favourite word?
Salad.
Salad. Okay. What motivates
Salad.
you?
Music.
What demotivates you?
Negative people.
What sound or noise do you love?
Laughter.
What sound or noise do you hate?
Cutlery scraping on a plate.
Yes, yes. Tasman hates that one. So, what is your favourite comfort food?
Chocolate.
Chocolate, yeah. What profession other than the one you are doing at the moment would you like to attempt?
Professional footballer.
Is that because of George Best? Sorry. Right. So, what profession would you not like to do?
Politician.
So the final one. What would you like God to say to you when you arrive in heaven?
It would be something like, "Dude, you made it!"
Excellent.
And then, yeah, just kind of like when a friend sees you after a long time, it's like, "Dude."
Excellent. Very. That's excellent. Well, I really do appreciate your time, giving us this time where we can get to know you a little bit more. We're really looking forward to you to coming back to sunny Weston-super-Mare and working alongside us. It's going to be great fun. So we are looking forward to that. So thank you for your time. We really appreciate it. We got some questions.
Oh,
look at this.
Oh no.
If you were involved in a miracle, which one? This is so Joe Bond asks, if you were involved with any miracle, which one would it be?
They're a miracle from the Bible. What would I be?
Well, yes, I would assume that, or you can make up your own miracle. I don't know. What miracle would you like to be in?
The first one that pops into my head is the water to wine.
Yeah, because you like wine, yeah. Right. And
if it was cider, maybe. But yeah.
Paul Gill says, "Do you call Katherine now, or still can I call you George?"
Everyone can still call me George. That would be fine.
So Paul, you can still call her George. So she hasn't changed her name and wanting to be Katherine or Kat or anything. It's just...
Yeah, I have about 12 nicknames. So you could come up with a new nickname for me if you wanted to. A new Hayward Village name.
There you are, Paul. You can get a new name. So thank you for those questions, guys. Well, so thanks once again. I should have kept an eye on those kind of questions coming through, but thank you once again, George. It's a pleasure having you with us. All right, so I'm just going to go on to what's going to happen on Thursday. So we'll say goodbye now. All right, so see you in a mo. All right, bye. So our movie club quiz of the week. Our movie of the week is Avengers Endgame. So it's going to be this is an epic film, and so and you know that Chris is going to ask some really serious questions on this one, so get watching, enjoy watching this film again, and so we'll see you on Thursday. Thank you for joining us. Bless you guys. Bye for now.